Okay, now with these minnow jigs that I use, they're very easy to set up and to hook up. You see I only have a couple left. I swear by these things. This was the one that I originally started using, and see you get a smaller jig head, so I went up a size in the weight in the jig head because you could cast these a little bit further than you could cast these, and it's really easy to line them. What you want to try to do is, like this one I got set up right here pretty good too. Let me see this right here. You try to get it where the jig head is, the fish is kind of centered eating the jig head, and this is in the center of the spine, because when these do swim, the line is up straight, so they do swim kind of straight. Now if you set up kind of crooked like this, see how this one right here, it don't swim the same in the water. And I put a bigger jig head on this, and the reason why I put this big jig head on this is because I was casting it further, and these will only really kind of go so deep in Lake Michigan. So with this one right here, I wanted to get it further. Believe it or not, I got this to the bottom in Lake Michigan. On the edge, not on the freaking all the way deep in the water, just on the edge. And on this big hook right here, see the difference in the size of the hook right there? On this big hook, I caught a freaking goby. It was a monster goby, but I did hook it with this. So when you're hooking these, let me find the one I was just gonna hook. All right, when you're hooking these right here, all you do is you try to get the hook down into the center of the mouth right here, where the mouth would be. You get the hook right down where the mouth would be, right there for the jig, and right in the center, and you kind of push it down the center of the fish to come up the center of the back. Alright, and you kind of want it as best you can in the center, because that's what gets the fish swimming properly. So when it comes around the hook like that, it looks like the fish actually is eating a bug. Is really with the look you're kind of going for. The fish is eating a bug. And one other thing with these jig heads is I try to fix them when I'm home, but these are actually better. The smaller ones are better because look, there's no paint or nothing on them. These right here, they drive me batty because they're painted, and you got to try to break the circle. And when you do break the circle, you break off some of the paint also. I had one of these with no eye on it because the paint broke down that much. So when I'm out and about normally with these jigs, what I normally do is I take another one of the needles or another one of the hooks, and I just try to hook it in on both sides. Watch your fingers so you don't poke yourself with these hooks. They're so sharp. But I just take one of the hooks and I try to poke it in on this side and poke it in on the other side. They actually sell a little thing that actually when I went yesterday I didn't see it. But you kind of get it on one side, then you go to the other side, and then you put it through on the other side so you can get your line in there. I try to do this at home, so when I'm out and about and I got my pole in my hand, I don't have to worry about doing it at the lakefront. Anyways, that's how I set up my jigs when I go ahead and jig for my fish. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, one more thing I wanted to say. I guess I should say give these people shouts out too. Arky. These Arky, they're walleye jigs, panfish head jigs. These are the ones I've used. I use these at Walmart. They say show how to hook them on the back. I guess I hook mine my own way. I don't hook it anything like those typical ones. And these are the ones I swear by, which are these Berkeley power baits. They're the 2-inch minnow jigs. 2-inch minnow jigs. The black ones and the green ones with them eyes on them, I don't know what it is. These things are devastating. These are killer in the water. One thing, I had a person ask me, well, how often do you change it? You gotta change it every time you use it? Man, I leave this thing on here forever and a day. Sometimes I'll change out between here to see. Actually, with the jigs, I normally just change between back and forth. I jigged with this one time, didn't really have too much luck. But if you see sometimes when you get snagged, it tears the jig. So the jig will be swimming kind of sideways. So that's when I change them out, actually. When the jig tears and it's swimming kind of sideways, that's when I change them out. So I did want to show you that. Give these people, yeah, these are the jig heads that I use. I would like it if they didn't paint the top of them, but since they do, I got to poke out the top of them. But these are the 1/16 ounce jig heads that I use, and I use the Berkeley power bait ripple shads. These, I swear by these and love them. I used to be able to find them at Walmart, and I haven't found them at Walmart, where I buy them from Amazon.com right now, or Walmart online, and then they just ship them to where I'm at. But they were out of stock. It took like a week for them to come in. These are the 2-inch ones. I'm gonna look for the 2.5-inch and 3-inch, and probably put them on the same jig head, because this is the size hook that I like using. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see what happens when I take it out there. All right, this is gonna be info and how I tie my jig. I already put it through the line right there. See? Okay. I twist it 1, 2, 3 times. Twist my jig 3 times. Okay? Got the line twisted 3 times. Go all the way back into the bottom loop that I made, but then reverse it through that other loop. See? See how I did that? Let me see. After this twisted 3 times, go into the bottom loop right here, and then go up. Oh, well, I lost it right there. Okay, right there. Grab the end of it and go through this other loop that you create from the top of the twist. See that other loop you create from the top of the twist? Go down there, and then you pull it. Some people wet it. I always do. Some people, I always do. Some people say, I ain't putting my mouth on that. Okay. And that knot right there is not going to slip on you. I cut a little piece off of it. Not a whole lot. Just a little piece off of it. I always give myself a little bit extra. Okay. And that knot is not going to slip on you. I don't care how. You know, the weakest part of the whole system is your knot. And one thing that I normally don't use, I personally don't use, what are they called, leaders. I normally don't use leaders. I put it right on the end, and that's what I fish with. As it is how I fish. So then one more thing, I'm going to show you how I jig and explain to you how I jig and why. Okay, if you ever heard the term, when people are jigging, you know, around here why I jig a lot is because there's really no bait shops where I'm at. I'm on the southern part, southern part of Lake Michigan, right around the curve is where I live at in Chicago. And a lot of the bait shops in the area closed. Believe it or not, the little old timers they passed away, but they were even having trouble struggling to stay open with all the taxes and all the crap from the city of Chicago. So the closest place to me is like 30 minutes away in Indiana to jig. Now I got this little pole right here, and this is how I set up my minnow jig. I just showed you how I set up my minnow jig. But what I like these Rappalas is you have to jig, but they do work really good with, they work really good. The tail of them is set up to swim in the water. See how bouncy that is? They do swim really good, so make sure you have it kind of as straight on as you can when you jig it. Okay? Now people say what the sense to jigging is. When you cast with the Rappalas, I gotta get used to casting this little pole. I just got it. Bear with me here. About to hit my dog with it. When you cast, move. Hey, Magula, move. When you cast, there's two things you could do with these minnow jigs that I got. These little Rapala minnow jigs, if you swim them in slow, they'll actually swim like they're swimming back to you. They swim really good, and they're just, the tail of them, when you got your pole in the water, go back and forth, and you'll see how it's swimming back to you. So that's one thing I do, is I just crank it in slow to me, and then something will hit it, and you'll feel it hit it. Okay, another way I jig is I go like 1, 2, let me get some more line in there. I go 1, 2, reel. 1, 2, reel. 1, 2, reel. And so the effect you get with the 1, 2 reel is it goes 1, 2, then you, no, it goes actually 1, 2, then it swims a little bit. 1, 2, then it swims a little bit. 1, 2, then it swims a little bit. That's the effect that you kind of get with that. And then lastly, what I do is when I jig, the whole time, I let it sit to the bottom. Pull it a little bit. 1, let it sit to the bottom. Reel a little bit. 1, and that's how I jig. So jigging, mainly when I see one guy do it and I didn't see him catch anything, he casted the sucker out and now with a crankbait on the top of the water, that's really good. But with a jig, and especially a small jig, you don't want that fish to the water as fast as possible. You want it to like swim casually around the shore bank area because that's where they normally stay at. So when I cast into the lake with these little 16-ounce jigs, I'll probably get maybe 12 feet, maybe 20 feet into the water, and then I jig back to the shore. So those are the different ways that you can actually fish a jig. Okay, so when you look this up, hopefully you're looking to fish a jig and not dance a jig, because that's on my next video, alright?